In Northern Ireland, over 1/6 of the population has a disability or long-term health condition, and according to Disability Sport NI's annual report 2016, they are half as likely to participate in sport and active recreation as non-disabled people. I first became aware of this fact during my summer placement in 2017 with Disability Sport, and it kind of struck a chord with me, and it was amazing to see firsthand how much sport and active recreation has a positive impact on someone living with a disability. So my job was to film at events and then edit my footage into short promotional videos showcasing the goings on at the events, and it was more factual rather than a hard-hitting message across, and it was very much stuck to a template by Disability Sport. When it was time for me to choose my major project design, I knew immediately that I wanted to do a short inspirational video for Disability Sport, but in my own way. But I just needed to ascertain firstly if it was okay with my tutors and with Disability Sport to see if they were happy for me to do this. My first step was to contact Disability Sport and get their approval, as without them I wouldn't be able to do this. So I contacted the Engagement and Communications Officer, Andrea Heron, and she advised me to drop a project proposal form and send it to the Chief Executive, Kevin O'Neill, which I did, and then he gave me permission to go ahead and do a live project. So the initial project proposal was to promote the work of DSNI through the campaign using the heading Another Level. This concept came from that no matter what stage you were at in sport and active recreation, or even if you weren't involved in it at all, that Disability Sport could help you and guide you and support you in reaching another level. The next step was to deliver my proposal to the tutors and get the okay from them, and after doing this at the start of semester 2, we both agreed that it would be a much hard-hitting and stronger message if I changed the inspirational campaign into more of an awareness campaign. After putting together some storyboards and prep videos, I realised that the work of DSNI was just too much to cover, as the scope was just never ending, and to cover it all would just lose that message. And a rethink was had, and I took back and talked to key staff members of Disability Sport and proposed narrowing the idea. As I said, it was just far too big to cover and lost all sense of what I was trying to achieve with the campaign. I went back with the idea of hidden disabilities, as after showing friends and family some of my prep videos, the question that was most asked was, what is their disability, as it wasn't always obvious. Disability Sport agreed and really did like this idea. However, whenever in the early stages, problems did arise quite quickly, because with hidden disabilities, it's a very sensitive topic, and to try and storyboard, I spoke to other key members of Disability Sport who work with things like sight loss and learning disabilities, but they did warn me that it is quite a sensitive topic, and especially hearing loss, as Disability Sport doesn't work directly with hearing loss, so they weren't sure exactly how we should showcase it so no offence would be taken or not taken. And the learning disability aspect of it is the work they do is usually with children, and as Justin advised me to stay clear because of child protection and all of that. So these issues were coming up quite quickly, and there was kind of a break put on in the process as we were really struggling to kind of overcome these. Danny, the Active Club's coordinator for physical disability, had heard that I was hoping to do a campaign, and came in and, as he put it, hoped he hadn't missed the boat, and kind of threw a spanner in the works. But it was the best thing that happened, because it made me focus down even more, and it asked for if I would be able and interested in doing one for wheelchair basketball, as Phil Robinson, the Wheelchair Basketball Development Officer for Disability Sport, and Danny had been discussing trying to start up a campaign for wheelchair basketball. I was so glad that Danny did approach me that day, as I was really looking forward to doing hidden disabilities. However, with the wheelchair basketball, I'll be showcasing the hidden disabilities within that given sport, and hopefully inspire more people to get involved. and just get that fact that you don't have to be a full-time wheelchair user out there. And I feel like it really kind of followed on. It's still hidden disability, however, within the sport of wheelchair basketball. Danny and Phil joined our meeting and they discussed at length the requirements they were wanting for the campaign, and these came down to a couple of key points. They wanted clear indication that you do not have to be a full-time wheelchair user to play the sport of wheelchair basketball. The classification system that allows players of different disabilities to compete on the same team. To showcase how dynamic the game is and to create a catchy slogan/tagline for the campaign. A WhatsApp group between myself, Danny, Phil and Andrea was set up, and that was where we just fired out all our ideas as we thought of them for the name of the campaign. 3 storyboard ideas came to mind. The first one was can you play the running game? So this was basically, the scenario was 3 friends were out doing, everyday things, shopping, getting a coffee, and then when it came time for them to get the bus, they had to run as they were late for it, and 2 would run and 1 would stay as they would have a disability such as spastic paraplegia, which meant they couldn't run. And the words on the page would come up, can you play the running game? This one was a really short and simple, and I think it needed a wee bit more than that to get the point across, but it was just the initial ideas, get the ball rolling. Idea number 2 was to use 4 or 5 different players, only one having a visible physical disability, and show snippets of their daily routine, with them all ending up at the same basketball practice that night. This was probably my favourite scenario. However, due to the time frame of the project, my major problem was the availability of actors. The people that Disability Sport had asked me to use, it just wasn't doable, but that was out of my control, so I just had to figure out something else. My third idea was a narrower version of my second idea, which was just showcasing one player's daily routine and then him ending up at wheelchair basketball practice and showcasing a high-paced game. Danny and Phil had, like the British wheelchair basketball campaign, Play Wheelchair Basketball, and just wanted to make subtle changes to that film and poster to make Disability Sports one, but I disagreed with that and I said they should just make it their own, as theirs was quite dark and moody, but this did not fit with Disability Sport brand guidelines. And Andrea immediately suggested one of their players, Katie Morrow, for the role, as she ticked all the boxes and as she's a Paralympian, female and not a full-time wheelchair user. Andrea got in contact with Katie after agreeing that she would be the best one to be the face of the campaign, and Katie was over the moon and really pleased and excited to do it. However, it seemed impossible to even meet her for the initial meeting to, discuss the plans and just give her an overview of it. And we waited for 2 weeks for her to get back to us. And after that, Andrea just pulled the plug and said, no, we'll find someone else, because she was very conscious of my time frame and didn't want to keep me back any further. So they had 2 other guys for backup, basically. And the first one was Matt, but he was unfortunately on holidays until the 2nd week of May, which was leaving it too tight. And then Neil was the other option, and Neil was just brilliant. He was straight up so excited, happy to be the face of it, a dynamic player, really helpful in making himself available, even weekends and bank holidays and everything. He was happy to film, and he also made sure that I was able to come down to their practice. Within a week of meeting Neil, I had my whole thing filmed, and that was from meeting with the initial ideas to then meeting up with him on 3 other occasions to film at his house, at the workplace and at the basketball practice. And I really can't thank him enough for helping me get it done, because I couldn't have done it without him, and he made it happen all so quickly and was so good to work with. So really it was brilliant. In the 2 weeks that we were waiting for Katie to get back to us, we were all still bouncing off ideas through the WhatsApp group of names for the campaign, and I was doing research into other campaigns that had been done before, and I came across the We All Play for Canada by Canadian Tires campaign and found this clip.
Well, I should have seen this coming. Don't know why.
The bit where the boy says "come on" to the boy in the wheelchair really stuck with me, and I felt this would be a great name for the campaign, as it's quite a Northern Ireland slang as well, the "come on," you know. So I put it out there and got great feedback from the other staff members, and we're sticking with it for now. My solution to create the fast-paced action shots of the game was I borrowed someone's everyday wheelchair, and I was able to go up and down the side of the court while Lorcan was pushing me and I was filming, so it was going the same pace and at the same height as the players. So this kind of felt like the camera was in the game. So I felt this worked well as it was going the same pace, and it was kind of my makeshift no budget dolly. The only problem with filming location wise was his work. They weren't happy with me coming in and filming in his office, but thankfully Disability Sports office let us come in anytime, and he worked close enough that he could nip over in his lunchtime. Then short snappy clips trying just to get the point across without lingering too long on it, as I didn't want to focus on the daily routine. I just wanted to showcase that he was able-bodied and up and walking about. Then in his work, the subtle hints of him scrunching up the paper and throwing it in the bin like a basketball were coming through, and then him, throwing his keys up and down, kind of like a ball. And then once you get to the boot, you can see the wheels in the boot. So this was just small hints. I was really trying to get something that you thought, alright, let me watch that again. Once he got into the basketball practice, I was looking for upbeat, fast-paced music to match the speed and action of wheelchair basketball, as it is quite a fast-paced game and really energetic. So searching royalty-free music on YouTube, about the third song I came across was Typography Action Drums and Claps. Now unfortunately this, I did have to pay for it, but it was only $15, so didn't break the bank. So after watching it with my movie before I bought it, I thought, yeah, it works so well just with the beat. To incorporate the name of the campaign, I got Neil to turn around and say "come on" to the camera to help encourage people to come on and join in wheelchair basketball.
Come on!
Having not used After Effects a lot before, I really struggled, as you can see, cut off half their heads, trying to put the title, mask out the players and put the title "come on" behind the players. So to overcome this, I just decided to make a title page at the end, as I knew that I had to incorporate the Northern Ireland Wheelchair Basketball logo, plus Disability Sport NI's logo, plus their funders. So I needed a page anyway, so I thought I'd just put the title on it instead. To help showcase the classifications within the sport, I used text on screen to do so. I initially started with just have the words pop up, the class, the name of the player, and what enabled them to play wheelchair basketball. I took away from the action on the screen and kind of overruled the whole thing. So I decided to more incorporate it using motion graphics, as in changing the keyframes to move the graphics on screen and have it go with the player. Using that style of motion graphics, I felt that it didn't take away rather than just enhanced the imagery on screen. And still, from feedback that I've got from people who know nothing about the campaign so far, they've said that they understand completely what I'm trying to get across, which is exactly what I wanted to hear, and was really positive feedback. If I had more time, things that I would do differently is I would definitely explore doing the day in the life of more than one player. I would also, in the practice, I would have the players all in the same shirts, as it looks a wee bit more professional, but as I said, due to a short time frame, I really just had to show up at the practice that I was able to get to. The text I use is Sports World Regular, and I felt this worked well, as I wanted high-hitting impact text just to match the game. Overall, I really enjoyed this project, and narrowing it down to a specific subject area is probably the best thing that I could have done, because it made it really focused and kind of more meaningful, as I got that hard-hitting message that I was hoping for with my first idea, and I have been invited back to work on it afterwards to be part of the campaign team, which is really exciting and really looking forward to that. So far from the video, the team at Disability Sport are really pleased, and I've got really positive feedback so far, and Neil, the actor himself, is really pleased with it as well.